Now let's take a look at the Autom building section. You can find this here in the bottom left, and you can click on Create Autom. This area is where you're going to be assembling all the applications, actions, and data manipulations to create your desired workflows. Automate provides an intuitive drag and drop interface for designing automation workflows. Users can create, modify, and visualize workflows by dragging predefined actions from the library on the left and dropping them onto the workboard in the middle. This no-code environment allows users of all technical backgrounds to design and deploy automation workflows without needing extensive programming skills. The first thing you'll see is the trigger button, allowing you to set a trigger type for this specific Autom. The trigger type is a critical component of how your Autom operates. The trigger defines the specific condition or event that initiates the automation process. Choosing the correct trigger type is fundamental to ensuring that your Autom functions as intended. Depending on your needs, you can choose from various trigger types, such as webhook, API, email, or schedule. Webhook triggers initiate the Autom in response to a webhook call from another system or service. These should be used when your automation needs to be initiated by an external service or application. As you can see here, you just input your trigger URL and then choose the trigger rule. Then you can click Save, and you're done. We also have the ability to set a trigger of an API. These will start the Autom when specific events occur, such as the creation of a new file, a database update. These are ideal for automations that should start in response to real-time changes or actions. You can configure it again here by inputting the trigger URL and the trigger rule. We also have the ability to set it by email. This is where you can have your Autom listen to an email inbox, and when an email comes in, the Autom will trigger. Again, you can configure that here, either by IMAP, POP3, or OAuth. You just need to input the fields and click Save. You can also set it by schedule. This will start the Autom at specific times or intervals like daily, weekly, or monthly schedules. You would use this when your automation needs to run at regular intervals or at specific times. And again, you can customize it here very easily. Now, there are two other triggers that we can use, but we'll go into them in more detail later. But they are condition-based triggers, which will start the Autom when a specific condition is met, such as threshold being crossed or a status changing. And these are perfect for scenarios where your automation should run only when specific conditions are met. Or you've got manual triggers, which are initiated manually by a user by going to your Autom section and manually enabling it. These are best suited for on-demand tasks that require manual initiation by a user. It's important to note that selecting the appropriate trigger is fundamental because it dictates when and how your Autom will be executed. Each Autom can only have one trigger type, meaning you need to carefully choose the trigger that aligns best with your automation goals. The trigger type determines the automation's responsiveness, timing, and effectiveness. Also, by understanding and selecting the right trigger type, you can ensure that your Autom operates exactly as needed, improving efficiency and effectiveness. If your workflow requires different triggers, such as starting based on both a schedule and an event, you will need to create a separate Autom for each trigger. For instance, if you want one automation to run daily and another to run when a specific event occurs, you would create two separate Automs, each with a respective trigger type. Below the trigger option, you have your start and stop buttons, and it's between these two buttons that we are going to be creating our workflow. Then moving over to the left-hand side of the screen, we have variables. Variables store and manipulate data dynamically during the automation process. Users can create variables to hold data, such as user inputs, system responses, and intermediate values needed for calculations. This flexibility ensures that the automation process is dynamic and adaptable to various scenarios. To create a variable, simply click on Add New, and you can input all the details you can need here. Then click Save, and it will add your variable. Next, let's look at the integrations. Automate integrates seamlessly with a variety of third-party applications and services, allowing users to automate tasks across multiple platforms. These integrations enable data exchange and process automation with popular CRM systems, project management tools, and communication platforms, and more. This connectivity enhances the efficiency and scope of your automation workflows. You can see in this instance, we have 19 applications installed into our integration stack. There are more applications that we have readily available, which you can access again in the library store. But for now, for this instance, let's just say we want to use ServiceNow. We can click on any of these actions and use them straight away in our workflow. Let's click on Create Record with Base Tables and drag it over to our workflow. And there we go, it's in there. You'll notice when we dragged over this action, the Action Control Center popped up. This allows you to adjust any parameter within that action. And if you want to add input parameters, then you'll use the Data Manager, which is another box that'll pop up on this side of the screen. But we'll go into that in a later lesson. So let's minimize this. Let's remove this. And next, let's look at the Transform tab, which is below the Integration tab. Transform actions in Automate process and manipulate data such as filtering, sorting, and converting data formats. These actions help in preparing data for further use or analysis within the Autom. By using transform actions, users can ensure that their data is in the correct format and ready for the next steps in the automation process. And again, it's as simple as dragging and dropping onto your workbench. You'll see again the Action Control Center pops up. So again, we'll minimize that, and let's remove this. And we can look next at the Utility tab. Utility actions perform various support functions, such as logging, error handling, and sending notifications. These actions support the overall automation process by providing essential functionalities that ensure smooth and efficient operation. Utility actions are crucial for maintaining the reliability and robustness of your automation workflows. And again, it's as simple as dragging and dropping. And you also get the Action Control Center popping up on the right-hand side of the screen. And if you need to input details into there, you can do. This is the Data Manager that I mentioned earlier, but again, we'll worry about that at a later date. Now let's get you familiar with all the other buttons on this screen. At the top of the screen, we've got the Autom's name. The auto-generated name for an Autom is based on a default naming convention, but it can be easily changed to something more descriptive. It is recommended that you change the name as soon as you create a new Autom to ensure it's easily identifiable. This is particularly helpful when managing multiple automations. To change the auto-generated name, simply click on Edit, and you'll be able to change the Autom name to anything you want. Let's just call this Test. We can add a description if we want. We can add it to a group if we also want to do that. And we can assign it to a Mate environment. We also have the option to make it queue enabled. Once all done, click Update, and it'll be ready to go with its new name. Next to the name, we have this button. This is the Dev Mode button. The Dev button on the Automate Autom Builder screen is designed to activate development mode, a powerful feature that provides developers and users with enhanced visibility and control during the automation creation process. This mode is particularly useful for troubleshooting, refining automations, and ensuring consistency across different components used within your workflows. As you can see, when we enabled the Dev mode, the background of the Autom Builder screen changed to a dotted pattern, indicating that additional development tools are now active and accessible. With development mode active, a new button labeled Library Insights appears on the right side of the screen, here. Clicking this button will open up a pop-up window that provides a comprehensive list of all the action library components included in the Autom, along with the version numbers. This feature is critical for identifying and resolving potential version conflicts that could impact automation performance. Let me just drag over something so you can see how that works. So let's again go to ServiceNow, create record with base tables, add that in, minimize the Action Control Center, click on Library Insights, and there we go. We have our one action here. And obviously, if we've got multiple actions, it will give us an entire list. It's just an easy way of seeing very quickly what actions you currently have going on within your Autom. Also, next to each action within your automation flow, the version of the corresponding application is displayed. This visibility ensures that you are aware of the specific versions in use, which is vital for maintaining consistency and reliability throughout the automation process. You should use Dev Mode when investigating potential issues within your automation. This is especially important if you suspect that version conflicts might be causing problems. Development Mode allows you to review the specific versions of components in use, making it easier to pinpoint and resolve issues. Or when refining or modifying existing automations, activating Development Mode provides the tools needed to ensure that all components are up to date and compatible. This is particularly crucial when incorporating new actions or updating existing ones to avoid disruptions. You can also use it before finalizing and deploying an automation. Using Development Mode to review all component versions can prevent unexpected errors or conflicts in the live environment. It's a best practice to perform these checks to ensure a smooth deployment. And by effectively utilizing the Dev button, you can significantly enhance the reliability and performance of your automations, ensuring they run as intended. Okay, let's leave Dev mode. And now we've got the Reset button. The Reset button on the Autom Builder screen is designed to help users quickly revert their automation to its last saved state. This feature is particularly useful when you've made changes during a session that you wish to discard. When you click the Reset button, all actions and associated variables within the Autom are deleted, restoring the screen to its last saved version. This allows you to start fresh without the clutter of unwanted modifications. It's important to note that changes to the Autom are not saved automatically. If you exit the Autom Builder screen after clicking Reset without saving, the Autom will revert to the last saved version when you return. This ensures that only desired changes are retained in the database. Seeing as we don't automatically save your Automs, we have our Save button, very simply here. The Save button is a critical feature in the Autom Builder, as you can imagine, ensuring that any changes you make to your Autom are stored in the database. The Save button commits all modifications you've made to your Autom, preserving the current configuration in the database. This ensures that your work is not lost and that the latest version of your Autom is ready for deployment or further editing. Remember to always use the Save button after making any significant changes to your Autom. This is essential for preserving your work and ensuring that your latest configuration is what gets executed or further edited later. Below this, we have the Run Autom button. The Run Autom button allows users to manually execute their automation workflow directly from the Autom Builder screen. This feature is crucial for testing and validation purposes before deploying the Autom in a live environment. Essentially, it just triggers the Autom that you've built, allowing you to see if it performs with the current configuration. It's important to note that the Run Autom button is for manual execution only. It differs from the trigger, which automatically starts the Autom based on predefined conditions or schedules. Below Run Autom, we have our Import and Export Autom buttons. These are essential for transferring Autom configurations between environments, or maybe sharing them with other users. Import enables you to upload an Autom configuration from a JSON file into the current environment. This is particularly useful for deploying automations across different environments or for backup purposes. You simply click it, and then click on Choose JSON file, and you can upload your JSON file as you wish. We also have Export. This allows you to save the current Autom configuration as a JSON file. This file can then be transferred to another environment or shared with team members. Again, click it, click Export, and it will export it as a JSON file. It should be noted that after importing a JSON file, it's recommended to verify that all the variables and settings are correctly configured in the new environment. Moving back over to the left, we have 3 buttons here: the ROI calculator, the Mate drive, and the diagram builder. Firstly, the ROI calculator. This tool helps you evaluate the financial benefits of your automation processes by calculating the return on investment. It considers factors such as time saved, error reduction, and increased productivity. Below that, we have the Mate drive. The Mate drive is a storage solution integrated within Automate to manage and store data used in your workflows. It provides secure and accessible storage options for all of your automation needs. And below that, we have the diagram builder. The diagram builder is a feature that allows users to create detailed flow diagrams for their automation processes. This tool provides a visual representation of workflows, making it easier to design, analyze, and optimize processes before you start building. And again, it's a simple drag and drop. Lastly, at the bottom of the page, we have our redo, undo, zoom in, zoom out, and center focus. These will help you navigate your Autom as you start to build more and more into it. And that's a quick walkthrough over the entire Automate dashboard.